Welcome back to Heart of the Woods. So we're doing an episode today as well. It'll be a short episode because I'm very busy today. But I wanted to keep doing this. I'm going to try and do it on a daily basis because I'm really, really into this right now. Last episode we died. Or we sort of died. Our body died. But our spirit was saved by Abigail. And we're now a wandering spirit. And also we died because the demon mayor, Evelyn, she basically set us up and put up a fake Terra to guide us out into the blizzard, so we died of hypothermia because... Sure. Okay, that happened. We don't know if Tara knows we're dead yet, because she's likely stuck at Morgan's place because of the blizzard. We know that Morgan and Tara are fucking. We knew that already, but Maddie knows. And I believe that's basically it right now, in case you needed a summary of last episode. Yeah. And I'm gonna try to remember Abigail's voice. I believe it was something like this. So I'm gonna try. I think it'll be fine. Let's do this. Okay. It's calm outside. In the day or so that's passed, the weather seems to have also mellowed out. A thick layer of fresh snow coats everything, looking fluffy and inviting. A few clouds darken the sky overhead, but are nothing compared to the maelstrom that I got caught in. The occasional flakes that fall seem serene, not threatening. Of course, they passed right through me. Abigail leads me into the woods. I try not to pay attention to how I can't hear my footsteps in the snow, or how the cold doesn't bother me. It's convenient, sure, but it's wrong. The two of us walk side by side, deeper and deeper into the forest. This will be the farthest I've ever gone, since previously I'd never passed the church. Just like Morgan a few nights ago, Abigail seems to know exactly where she's going. Abigail, can you tell me a bit about what it's like now, being a ghost and all? Abigail's face lights up and she clasps her hands together. Her steps become an eager skip. Of course, I'd be happy to. She clearly means it. Where to begin? I found it to be quite convenient, personally. As I've said before, we're not ghosts per se, or at least not in the conventional way. Which is to say, we're not dead. It's more like we're somewhere in between life and death. You and I are now fundamentally bound to the forest and to everything else in it. In the forest, everything is connected. She frowns deeply, puffing out her cheeks. This is harder than I thought. I laugh. I guess even after centuries, she never expected she'd have to explain all of this to someone. It's fine. Take your time. Everything in the forest is connected. The trees, the grass, the birds, the foxes, everything. And that includes you and I, too. Connected how? Abigail chews her lips as she tries to think of how to explain it. Her frown returns, deeper than before. Finally, she shrugs. Magic. Magic. That makes sense. Pleased, Abigail nods. I still don't know what to think. I've only just woken up. I don't know how long it'll take for me to process everything and accept it, or if I ever will. Everything she says makes sense on a conscious level. I'm sure I could ace a test if someone were to ask me questions about it. But when I stop to think about how it affects me, about how these are now the restrictions and limitations that bind me, I stumble over nothing and clutch at my chest, feeling sick. But it's an impotent gesture. It doesn't help me feel any better. How? How can I be dead? How did this happen to me, of all people on Earth? This isn't fair. It isn't fair! I never wanted any of this. I never even wanted to be here. I can't keep my thoughts from spiraling. Every time I try to think about it, I'm just met with memories of dying and of fear. Fear for myself and for the future and what it might hold. Abigail rushes over, rubbing my back as she croons in my ear. Madison, it'll be alright, I promise. I know it's a lot to take in, but it'll be okay. I'm here for you. I'm here. I'm here. She repeats those words over and over, stroking my back until the moment passes. Dizziness fades in waves and I slowly stand back up. In all, The little episode must have lasted seconds at most, but it felt so long. Madison? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine now. Or at least better. Thanks. Her hand doesn't leave my back. Are you sure? We don't have to keep going right now. We could save this for another day. I brush away the notion. It's fine. Let's keep going. If I just sit and do nothing, I'm sure I'd feel even worse. If you're sure. We resume our trek. The silence drags on for a while. Abigail shoots me glances every now and then as if I'll disappear if she looks away for too long. In a morbid way, it's kind of funny. I looked at her the same way not too long ago, but she was bright and radiant, and I'm dead, I guess. It brings a question to the forefront of my mind. Earlier... Abigail stops. I try to avoid eye contact. You said something earlier about Tara, how it wouldn't be possible for Tara to even see me. Correct. She speaks with measured words. Despite how excited she's been, she's visibly holding herself back. Like any wrong word will set me off again. It's not too far from the truth. But I was able to see you, even before all this happened. So why couldn't she see me? Abigail lights up again, a look of pride beaming across her face. That was projection. I've had a lot of practice. I'd be happy to teach it to you too, but it took me some time to learn. I see. Decades. Abigail laughs nervously, trying to hide her slip. We lapse into an uneasy silence again. I take deep breaths, trying to distract myself from the hundreds of questions weighing on my mind. My breath feels empty, the lack of cold wind glaringly absent if I focus on it. So, I focus on Abigail. She leads the way confidently. A passive smile rests on her face, and she looks more at ease now than I've ever seen anyone be. Every step she takes seems to push us forward, farther than any natural pace. The words she said earlier replay in my head about how the forest will help take us to our destination. We pass through a tree, but when I look back, it's meters away, if not out of sight completely. Magic. Being able to simply pass through any obstacles we encounter makes the walk much faster. Even so, I automatically step over debris or turn my shoulder completely to avoid scraping the trunk of a tree when I can. I feel the heaviness in my chest start to fade as we trek on. Abigail catches my glance and smiles warmly. I smile back, genuinely now. Did you spend much time in the forest when you were alive? I did. However, I never traveled very far. Why do you ask? I was just thinking about how you know your way around so well. It kind of reminds me of the girl I met here in the village, Morgan. I've had plenty of time to see it all. It's simple too, once you know how to do it. As long as you know where it is you're going, the force will guide your way there. I worry my voice for Abigail is a bit too close to the Morgan voice I'm doing. I don't have a very big range of voices, if you can't tell. Because I do Morgan with like the same sort of like, not like unemotional, but kind of like restrained voice. And I'm trying to add sort of a little more like a little femme like higher pitch to it. Like if Morgan is like, "Hi, I'm Morgan," I'm trying to do Abigail like more, "Hi, I'm Abigail." But I worry if they're a bit too similar. So if you feel they are too similar, you can mention that in the comments. And I'll try to think of something else for the voices, because I know there are people who like genuinely like enjoy listening to this and as sort of a like audiobook almost, despite me interjecting with my rambling all the time, which I appreciate a lot. I think that's really sweet. So if you want me to do a different voice for Abigail because it's too close to Morgan, let me know. Maybe it'll be more obvious if they actually interact at some point. I'm certain you'll get the hang of it someday. I force an agreeable smile. In spite of everything, talking feels good. Talking about anything. So I try to keep the conversation going. What was Heisenfeld like back then? Much the same as it is today, as far as I can tell. Quiet and isolated. We rarely had any visitors. Even news of the outside world or the rest of the country was slow to arrive. But I longed for it. For the stories that would occasionally make their way to us, sometimes friends of my father's would head to the city for a few weeks, taking the goods that we had grown and made to trade, and bringing back things we lacked. And they'd return with gifts for all of the children, my sister and I, or the little boy across the road. Gifts and stories about wondrous devices they'd seen, or about the marvelous people they'd meet. Her steps slow and then come to a stop, and her eyes take on a far-off dreamy look. When I was alive, I always wished to see it for myself someday. Instead, I had to satisfy myself with books and with other people's stories. Her voice trails off, ending with a hum of satisfaction, remembering something but not speaking it. I wait quietly. It doesn't feel like the kind of moment that I should interrupt. Soon enough, she looks over at me with what I've come to think of as a typical smile. I'm sorry, I hadn't really thought about these things in a while. It's okay. I hope they're not painful memories. She shakes her head. These ones aren't. What about you? There's so many things that I want to know, but I hardly know where to begin asking. Abigail points up to the sky, devoid of any clouds right now. Machines soar overhead day and night, but I've never known what they are. Or watching as Eisenfeld becomes more modern, but not understanding. I want to understand. She looks at me expectantly, like I could quickly rattle off all the major inventions since her time and how they've changed her lives. From the way the corners of her eyes glimmer with tears, it's clear just how badly she wants to know. It must be horribly frustrating. She mentioned machines overhead, she must mean airplanes and satellites. How unbelievable would it be to her that enormous metal craft can fly through the sky and carry hundreds of people? Or about cars, and how just about everyone owns one. I had been in her 200 years and then some is to catch her up on what she's missed. And thinking about that, for just a second, I feel like maybe I understand her loneliness a little bit better. Abigail quickly straightens up, maybe realizing that she was being kinda childish. She adjusts her impeccable collar and dodges my eyes. I'm sorry, again, that can wait. You're fine. I'm sure I feel the same way in your position. After we meet your friend, I'll tell you everything you want to know, or at least everything I can. I'm not exactly the best storyteller, and I'm not very good at explaining why things work, but if that's still enough... I phrased it like a question, even though I already know what her answer will be. Sure enough, she springs towards me, skipping past like a stone. Oh, would you? I'm sure you're wonderful at telling stories. I could tell from the way you read to me back at the church. Do you remember? Like I could forget. That's a day I remember for the rest of my life. Is it? Why is that? She crowds up close to me now. To be honest, she reminds me a bit of a film camera. Zooming in, then out, then leaping past to focus on something else. Well, that was the first day we spent time together, right? And that's when you showed me your name. Abigail goes very still. Several times she looks like she's on the verge of saying something, her mouth fluttering on half gesturing something, but each time she stops. I suppose it was. I just didn't realize it was that significant to you. Of course it was. That day changed everything for me. I bite my tongue for saying more. Things didn't exactly change for the better. Deeper and deeper we go, and the forest gradually grows quieter. The rustling of creatures underfoot get less and less frequent and then stop entirely. The birds chatter less and then not at all. Even the wind settles down. Abigail is the only one who doesn't act any differently. She still hums to herself, or glances over her shoulder to make sure I'm still there. Like I have anywhere else to go. As we get further into the woods, the snow is thinner, and some places are totally without it. There are even few patches of green, something I'm pretty sure shouldn't be possible given the weather. The trees, which have been growing claustrophobically close together, start to spread out a bit more. I gasp when I see what's ahead of us. A grove of immense trees, larger than any I've seen before, lies before us, like the redwoods back in America. They're so huge as to seem to hold up the sky. Oh right, we're not in America right now. Maybe I should... No, I'm not even gonna try and give Abigail an accent. Nope. I am really bad at accents. Totally bereft of snow, a few defiant branches hold leaves. They cast shadows over Abigail and I, and everything around us. An aura of life pervades the area. My skin prickles. The sensation is vivid, running up my arms like a spark. More than the church where we are now feels like a holy place. something sacred and primal. As we passed by, I had the distinct feeling that I'm being watched from all sides. The back of my neck is slick with sweat, and I brush my forehead as the pressure of being observed starts to hit me harder. What is this place? I don't mean to, but my voice comes out as a whisper. We're at the center of the forest now. These trees are the oldest ones here. They're the ancestor of all the rest. All of the life in the forest comes from here. I believe it. There's a quiet vibrance to this place. I walk a little slower, feeling as if I don't want to cause a disturbance. I trail behind Abigail, who seems totally indifferent to the atmosphere. It makes sense, she's probably used to it, and this place's luster has worn off for her. I can't help but gape. With the snow that I've gotten so used to elsewhere, this feels like a wholly different place. Another world altogether. Abigail leads me around under the massive trees and my jaw drops even further. There, crouched in a small clearing, is the forest spirit from the other night. The same one that stood in the storm and scared the hell out of Tara and me. So that was the friend. Okay, I was very wrong by guessing it was the cat. Somehow, it is much smaller now than it was then, though still several feet taller than me. Yet, one look into its piercing red eyes and I know it's the same. It had been looking away, but turns to face us. Its body creaks and crackles as it moves, like an old door rattling in the wind. My breath catches in my throat as I fight down the instinctive rising terror. Pocks and scars decorate the bark that forms its skin. Though it has a vaguely human form, its body is clearly wooden. Little trees wind together, interlocking to shape its body. It regards me with a kind of indifferent stare, similar to when we first witnessed it at the church. The impossibly red glow of its eyes is subtle now, and the previously winding and dying trees look more like its body is merely hugging itself. I look to Abigail to see her reaction. She just watches the two of us with a slight smile, waiting to see what happens. That's when it hits me. This is your friend? That's right. She acts as plainly as if she just introduced me to a fellow human, not a mystical creature. Abigail leaves my side to go to the spirits, and she nuzzles her head against it like a cat. This spirit is the guardian of the forest. It helped me save you, just like it saved me long ago. It shifts slightly to accommodate her, standing a little bit taller. It makes no vocalizations though, nothing close to speech. I see. I don't, really. Visions of its tall and imposing profile against the stormy sky really clash with what's in front of me now. But still, I know she's telling me the truth. I take a fraction of a step forward, expecting it to bare its teeth and warn me off somehow. It doesn't react though. Does it have a name? If it does, I don't know it. I just think of it as the forest spirit. I think back to how Morgan first described it, as if the forest itself had come alive. I don't think she knew just how right she was. Its namelessness makes it even more wild and untamed. I can feel myself being regarded and judged by it, and I'm tempted to turn tail and run. I force myself to look up and meet its gaze. When it stands still, it's unnervingly silent. It reminds me of a grotesque scarecrow, in a sense. From my peripheral vision, I can see Abigail look between the spirit and I, probably wondering if she should say something more, or, knowing her, wondering what to say. I preempt her. I've come to say thank you for intervening and for saving me. Abigail told me that you helped. I don't really know how I can ever repay you. I owe you my life, or, well, whatever's left of it. I'm not sure what I can even offer a supernatural tree spirit to begin with. Its eyes watch me, impassive. I swallow the lump in my throat and keep talking. I don't know what happens now, either. I'm still getting used to all of this, but again, thank you. Then, not knowing what else to do, I bow stiffly and step backwards. Still, it doesn't react. The whole thing is awkward and uncomfortable, but as with everything else, I am at a loss. I can't have a conversation with the thing, and the details of what exactly it did are sparse. It feels like a waste to have come all this way for just a few sentences, but I'm not sure it even understood those. It occurs to me that I have no idea how much the forest spirits knows, or even cares, about the affairs of humans. I guess it must care at least a little, since I'm here. The spirit turns its head to face Abigail, who smiles and pats his side. She says something to it, but I'm too far away to hear what. Then, as wordless as ever, the spirit rises and lumbers off into the forest without a second acknowledgement. Abigail watches it go. Then she turns and faces me with a bright smile. So, what did you think? She has all the pride of a child with a new toy. I stare after the spirit, but still barely visible between the trees. I don't really know what to think. I'm part grateful, part terrified, part shocked. When I saw it before, I thought it had to be a monster or something. It just seemed so ferocious and huge that I assumed it was evil. So seeing it like that is weird. It's certainly intimidating at first. When we met, I was also rather fearful, but I quickly realized how kind and gentle it was, at least towards me. I'm still brimming with curiosity over Abigail's own history, but she's made it clear that she doesn't want me to tell her yet, want to tell me yet, so I won't pester her about it. Why wasn't it enormous this time? It can make itself larger or smaller at will. The night that you saw it, it must have had a reason. And you're able to talk to it and understand it? Not quite. I speak to it and it understands me, but it doesn't have any words or language. Some of its mannerisms I've picked up over time. We've had quite a long time to get to know each other after all. Right. Abigail walks over and links her arm around mine. I startle at the touch, but more so how casual she is about it. Ready to go back to the church? Unless you'd rather stay here in the forest. I imagine you'd be more comfortable with walls and a roof around you for now, though. Yeah, I would be. Let's go back. Arm in arm, she leads the way back. Oh, we're changing perspectives. Oh, Morgan, okay. I was kind of hoping for Tara, since, her best friend is dead. God damn it! We're in Evelyn's private drawing room. Tara is kneeling in front of the back door, wiggling a paperclip around in the lock. Oh shit! They're locked in. It looks like she's never done this before. Tara, let's go. This is a bad idea. Oh, okay, no, they're lockpicking. Something else. I'm not leaving till I get in here. She knows something about Maddie. I know she does. I look around the room. I've been here plenty of times, but never into the connecting study. Evelyn hasn't so much as opened the door to it with me in the room. I'm starting to regret telling Tara about it, though. If we don't get out of here... I'm not disagreeing, but it isn't going to help. We need to... Shit! She hisses and pulls her hand away. Her fingers are brilliant red and she holds them to her mouth. Are you okay? I think it burned me. What the hell? Let's do this. Let's just break the door down. She takes a step back from it. It looks like she's ready to kick it. I put my hand on her shoulder. I really can't think of a worse idea right now. She'll just end up hurting herself. Listen to me. We have to get out of here. Trust me. She doesn't move to kick the door, but she also doesn't seem to have heard what I just said. If she hurt Mads, I'll kill her. Tara vibrates in my hands. In this state, there's no telling what she'd do if I weren't here to stop her. She'd probably be lighting a fire in the corner of the room or something by now. I can't let her get hurt anymore, though. I can't let anyone else get hurt. Listen, Tara, I've tried to force it open before. I think she has some kind of ward on it. No matter what we do, I don't think we're getting in there. I'm not sure what Tara hopes to find in there anyway. Even if it's locked, I doubt Evelyn is arrogant enough to really leave any real clues lying around in there. There has to be some way in. There has to. We'll get out of the office, and we'll find out where she took Mads. I don't care how much weird magic bullshit Evelyn's got. We're gonna rescue Mads. She doesn't give up hope that Mads is alive. I wish I could share her optimism. All I can feel is guilt. Oh, this was my fault. If I'd never asked him to come here, no one else would have been hurt. Tara, we need to go. Whatever burned you probably alerted Evelyn. She could be on her way right now. No! We can't give up now. Mads needs us. Tara, we need to consider the possibility that... Tara wheels towards me and grits her teeth. I can't tell if any of the anger she's feeling now is for me. If it is, I can't blame her. She hasn't been willing to face the truth. The truth of the situation. Oh, but she has to face it eventually. The what? Morgan? The what, Morgan? That she has killed my friend? Do you seriously think she'd do that to Mads just for looking around the woods? Yes, I do. My voice is colder than I mean for it to be. I instantly wish I could take it back, but she still doesn't understand. I get that she doesn't want to face the idea of Maddie being dead, but she can't ignore the danger we're in. The look in Tara's eyes, however, says this isn't helping right now. I'm sorry, you're right, we don't know for sure yet. We can talk about this later. Right now we really need to... Behind me, the door to the room slowly creaks open. My heart stops. I can't move. I can't turn around. I already know what I'm going to see. Good morning, Morgan. Tara. Instantly, I dash between Evelyn and Tara. Nothing good can come from these two being in the same room together. I have to keep them apart. Evelyn just laughs. It's the sound of her voice makes me want to run, but I can't. You both seem to be on edge. I'm sorry you don't seem to find my drawing room as relaxing as I do. Maybe it's time for some redecorating. How do you feel about a more earthly palette? She crosses the room to the window and literally picks up one of the curtains, pretending to examine it. I can feel Tara behind me seething, getting angrier by the second. No opinions. You come into here uninvited and think you could at least pretend to be polite. And she glares at me. I can feel the temperature in the room drop instantly. I used to think it was something that was just in my head. I have changed my mind about it recently. It really is getting colder. You never could though, could you? You never could play along. Always so obstinate, you have to fight every step of the way. Just like when you were young, always cutting your own hair short. Because nothing was ever good enough for you. The clothes I bought, the foods I made, and you had to control just one thing. A rush of heat and cold crawl over the nape of my neck. A rush of shame. Evelyn's mouth twists slightly, just enough into a smile, and she breathes a freezing laugh of pride. When was it you realized you couldn't even hold scissors anymore, and you ran around town begging someone to cut your hair? No wonder no one else ever wanted to be around you. I imagine that's why you had to look all the way overseas to make a friend. She shoots a glance at Tara, baring her fangs in a grin. She isn't even trying to hide what she is. And well, look what happened to them. That's too much for Tara. She's been quiet this whole time, maybe from the same fear that gripped me, but now she steps forward. I hold on my arm to prevent her from getting too close. What the hell did you do with Maddie? Evelyn turns back around to the window, barely acknowledging Tara at all, and stares out it absent-mindedly. You know, the forest is a very dangerous place. Every year it seemed that there would be a new death. Some would go missing in the winter. We wouldn't find them until the spring thaw. She turns around. The look on her face is so placid and empty. I've never seen anyone so completely devoid of empathy. That's why they're off limits now. That's why we have the curfew. There hasn't been a death like that in almost 10 years. Something we are very proud of. She turns back to Tara again and takes a step forward. Somehow the room seems to get even colder as she does. I'm sorry, I'm not doing Morgan's narration voice properly. That is, until your friend. It's honestly frustrating that she would ruin our record so selfishly. I wonder if she had any idea of the headache she was going to cause me. She shakes her head. She's smiling again. Enough of the bullshit! Mads wouldn't go out there and get herself lost. She wouldn't! She's way too cautious for that. You did something to her and you're gonna tell me what, or I swear to God! Evelyn looks up. Her smile is gone and her eyes are as sharp as her fangs. Tara goes silent the moment those eyes are on her. I'm shivering now. I pull my arms close to my body. The air seems to crackle with ice. I try to take a step backwards, but Tara won't budge. I'm not sure if it's out of anger or fear. I've been so patient with you, Morgan. Endlessly patient with you and your friends. A mother's patience never wears thin, but then I never was much of a mother, was I? No, don't. I reach out my hand, but it's too late. Behind me, Tara rises slowly in the air. What? Morgan, help! What's happening? Her eyes are wide with terror. Tears well up in my eyes. I have to do something. Please, you don't have to. Evelyn's mouth shifts slightly to one side. She looks so disinterested. She doesn't even take pleasure in it. She just barely notices us and what we feel. How many years did I give you the carrot, Morgan? How many? Eventually you'll have to learn. And just like that, Tara shoots backwards and slams into the wall so hard the whole room shakes. Tara! She crumples to the ground in a heap. She's not moving. Evelyn doesn't move as I run to Tara and lean down to look at her. She's awake, still twitching. Tara, don't move. Just stay still, you'll be okay. Well then, make sure you put everything back where you found it. The maids have enough work as it is. My heart starts beating faster. The heat in the nape of my neck spreads down my back. But instead of the hollow pit in my stomach that's supposed to follow, I feel my shoulders stiffen. My breathing gets slower, more controlled. The edges of my vision start going dark. I feel myself biting down on my own lip. I look down and I see my fists are clenched so tightly my knuckles have gone white. For the first time, I don't feel any fear, just hatred. With that, she turns away. The room instantly returns to its normal temperature, but I'm still freezing. Her heels click on the hardwood and gets quieter as she leaves. She stops at the door. Have a lovely day, girls. Evelyn disappears and the door slams behind her. I still can't move. It isn't until Tara lets out a loud groan that I snap back to my senses. Are you okay? Did she break anything? I don't think so. Can you stand? She makes it halfway up before stumbling. I grab her and throw her arm on my shoulder. She winces and lets out a tiny whimper. Let's get back to the house. I've got a first aid kit there. As long as I get to lay down, we can go wherever you want. Of course, you can use my bed. Come on. She takes a few shaky steps before leaning against me. It's a start. I think you're gonna have to take the lead on this one. And that's what we're going to edit today. Sorry, I know, said it was a short episode. I need to do other things. I have a bunch of things I have to do today. This is great. This is so good. Yeah, okay, so quick predictions. I think we're going to try and actually save our spirits and return us to the living. And I'm guessing we'll be doing that for Abigail as well. And I'm guessing that's how we will go back and forth right now. If I were Morgan and Tara, I'd go out to the church again and try and keep away from the town and Evelyn, because clearly this isn't gonna be working out, and you can maybe find some kind of clue towards where Maddie would be if she's not just out cold somewhere. But we'll see what happens, and I'll see you on the next episode. Wait, we're on chapter 4? When did